Imagine a team featuring Oblak, Ivanovic, Cerna, Sabatic, Lovren, Modric, Rakitic, Matic, Januzaj, Dzeko, Jovetic, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Not in a star-filled team like Barcelona, Madrid, PSG, or a team in Manchester, Liverpool, Bayern, or any of the two Milan teams, or even Juventus. Imagine if they played together, as an unstoppable, united Yugoslavian nation. Just another latest dream team of a dynasty that should have begun on the night of October 25, 1987. This is the story of how close the world was to see what could have been one of the best nations that ever played in FIFA World Cups and perhaps have been winners of 3 or even 5 world titles out of 7 World Cup tournaments. Except, the world never got a chance to see any of that glory or magic that Balkan players are born with. Instead, the world witnessed the end of a nation in a brutal and savage civil war. This is the legend of the team once called the Brazilians of Europe.
Boban koji je postigao onaj divan gol kada smo mislili da smo pobednici, neka i sada uradi tako pa ćemo to i biti. Dakle, Zvonimir Boban i Jugoslavija je prvak sveta. Jugoslavija je prvak sveta. Yugoslavia je prvak sveta.
July 15, 2018. The World Cup final in Moscow, Russia. Luzhniki Stadium. Croatia takes the field against the heavily favored French team. Most soccer fans around the globe are cheering for Croatia. Mostly because fans want to see a different champion, one not from Western Europe or South America. The Croatian national team kept the game closed for some minutes, eventually succumbing to the much more star-filled French team.
Flicked in by Griezmann and flicked on! And France take the lead in the World Cup final! Got the touch that mattered. Faded it in, Vasilko appeared round the back. Mandzukic can compete with Pogba. Came down for Vida. And then Perisic, 1-1! He has screamed that in! A penalty for France in the World Cup final. Antoine Griezmann. France have their lead back! A goal of its age, of its generation. Mbappe. Griezmann. Pogba! Pogba! France, and possibly now the world! Here's Mbappe! Oh my word! The first teenage World Cup final goal since Pelé himself! Oh, Lloris was caught on it by Mandzukic! Lloris with a moment of madness, Mandzukic perhaps a moment of redemption. It is France. It will be some can-can on the Champs-Élysées tonight. France are the champions of the world.
As the French lifted the prized trophy, there was rumbling amongst die-hard old-school soccer fans. If Yugoslavia would still be around, the French stand no chance. And there may be some truth to that. What if Yugoslavia was still around? What if? To understand the complexities of the former Yugoslavia, one must go back to 1918 at the end of World War I. Yugoslavia was created from parts of three different kingdoms: the Serbian, Montenegro, and territories of the former Austrian-Hungarian Empire. After German occupation during World War II, Yugoslavia was re-established as a federation of 6 republics: Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Macedonia, and Montenegro. Throughout Yugoslavia's existence, there had been tensions between the various ethnic groups, which eventually led to the collapse of the country. During a span of almost 40 years, these tensions were kept under control by the leader of Yugoslavia, Josip Broz Tito, who promoted unity and brotherhood and always kept nationalism in check. After his death in 1980, the beginning of the end began, culminating in the Yugoslav-Balkan Wars of the 1990s. But that's another complicated story. What if Tito's message would have lived on after him and Yugoslavia still existed? Well, for starters, they might have been a top economy in Eastern Europe and a force to reckon in sports. In various sports and disciplines, there has been a great success by athletes from the former Yugoslavia. The great Drazen Petrovic, Luka Doncic. Then there's Novak Djokovic. Many even go as far as to say a unified Yugoslavia would have beaten the USA Dream Team for the 1992 Olympic gold medal in basketball. Water polo has also been a sport of great success in the Balkans. Many of the sport's top stars and all-time greats are from countries of the former Yugoslavia. The former Yugoslav nations of Croatia, Montenegro, and Serbia have dominated the Olympic men's competition, playing a style known as the Yugoslav school that is renowned for its physicality in what is already a particularly grueling contact sport. Those are just some easy examples. But soccer has always been a strong point. Fierce competitors, with blessed technical excellence and discipline. In soccer, Yugoslavia were what 5-time World Cup champions Brazil might have been had they been European. Some of those accomplishments included 3-time Olympic finalist, 1 gold medal, 2 European finals, 1 youth championship, 1 Champions League title, plenty of other top 4 finishes in both club and country. As Yugoslavia descended into economic and political turmoil, fueled by ethnic and religious divisions, its sports began to enter a golden age. As the country crumbled and collapsed, a generation of gifted athletes began to make Yugoslavian teams in soccer and basketball a force to be reckoned with. Despite the political turmoil, soccer began to thrive. It was the total opposite of the political situation. Yugoslavia's domestic league was one of the strongest in Europe, with the clubs routinely advancing far in the European Cup. The predecessor to today's Champions League, Yugoslavia's football tradition was certainly something to be proud of for the people of Yugoslavia. Red Star Belgrade finally won the competition in 1991 in dramatic fashion. The World Youth Championship Under-20 team of 1987 was one of the greatest generations the country had produced in soccer. At the 1990 World Cup, they reached the quarter-finals, only to lose to Argentina on penalty kicks. Yugoslavia's style of play was marvelous. A joy to watch. They had a remarkable run with victories over Colombia in the group stage and Spain in the round of 16. In the quarter-final game against Argentina, Yugoslavia dominated the defending world champs, a game famous for two missed penalty kicks by Maradona. Despite the effort, Argentina was victorious in penalty kicks. And when it all seemed as if Yugoslavia was on the cusp of domination, the long-standing ethnic and religious tensions began to surface. On May 13, 1990, Red Star Belgrade faced Dynamo from Croatia. The fans clashed. What was originally believed to be a conflict between fans, was really a fight over underlying issues brewing under the surface. What happened that day set in motion a chain of events where, slowly the country descended into chaos.
Tensions are high this morning in parts of Yugoslavia, where two republics, Croatia and Slovenia, have declared their independence.
Yugoslavia appears to be coming apart these days.
There could be a full-fledged civil war in Yugoslavia with significant bloodshed and significant loss of life.
The Yugoslavian army is taking aim at another breakaway republic this morning. Federal army tanks took up positions early today along the border of Croatia.
In the first clash in Zagreb, the Croatian capital, 3 people died Monday when civilians tried to stop Yugoslav army tanks.
What was believed to be sporadic civil war conflict quickly became the largest conflict Europe had seen since World War II. There was genocide, human rights abuses, murder, rape and plunder. Children and young men were executed. After bloody years of continued conflict throughout the decade of the 90s, Yugoslavia ceased to exist. Almost 30 years, the horrors of the Balkan Wars are still very much evident. There are still pending cases in the International Court of Law for the atrocities committed during the wars. Mass graves are still being found, while others remained to be discovered. Yugoslavia was viewed as the heavy favorite for the 1992 European Championship. But as the country fell into a bloody civil war, the national team was banned from international competition and its last-minute replacement Denmark won the competition. Perhaps eluding Yugoslavia's slot would indeed win the European Championship after all. Banned from international play, Yugoslavia did not partake in World Cup qualifying for the 1994 tournament. At the 1994 World Cup, Yugoslavia could have fielded yet another dream team, with names such as Dragan Stojkovic, Deva Suka, Igor Stimac, Alen Boksic, Zvonimir Boban, Dejan Stankovic, Robert Prasinecki, Predrag Mijatovic, Sinisa Mihajlovic, Robert Jani, Darko Pancev. But it wasn't to be. Many have said that the 1994 Yugoslavia team would have indeed repeated the 1987 success by winning the 1994 World Cup, or at the very least finished in the top four. One argument is what Croatia accomplished in the 1998 competition by finishing third place after defeating a heavily star-filled Dutch team. In fact, many argue 1998 would have been Yugoslavia's World Cup moment. It would have featured key players from the 1987 victories and 1990 World Cup run, along with the 1994 hangers-on, supported by newcomers Dejan Stankovic and Darko Kovacevic. But by 1992, Yugoslavia didn't exist. There will always be the what-ifs about those two World Cups that never were. The 2000s would have brought a new generation of player that many don't think would have accomplished much compared to previous generations. Changing of the guard would have taken place, a transitional period in Yugoslav soccer. But then again, we don't know that for certain, as the wars of the 1990s destroyed the country and a generation of potential stars. Many potential and promising talents exchanged soccer cleats for AK-47s. That is considered the dark age, or lost generation of the Balkans. There would have been one bright spot. I'm sure you know this name. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Yes, the Swedish golden boy. What many don't know is that at one point Zlatan tried out for a former Yugoslav republic. The son of a Bosnian father and a Croatian mother, Ibrahimovic was at a very young age eager to represent either country. However, due to the political and religious views of Croatia, he really only had one choice: Bosnia and Herzegovina. Zlatan once tried out for Hajduk Split, but was rejected on a supposed irregular heartbeat. In fact, the team's rejection had to do with something more sinister. He didn't fit with the club's newfound, hardcore, Croat nationalism. Ibrahimovic, being a Croatian Serb, was not something welcomed due to Croat animosity towards anything, or anyone Serb. There are numerous versions of the story of how Ibrahimovic was rejected by the Bosnian national team. However, there is one version of the many stories that it is considered truthful by many, and even corroborated by former Bosnian coaches and soccer federation officials. Two years before his first ever call-up to the Swedish national team in 1999, Ibrahimovic tried out for the Bosnian side in Sarajevo. After his parents' divorce, he lived with his father, and focused on representing Bosnia. Ineptitude, corruption, and narrow-minded Bosnian attitude of those in charge at the time eventually caused the federation to miss out on Ibrahimovic's potential. After Zlatan's tryout for the Bosnian side, the Ibrahimovics were told he does not have enough talent, and sent them on their way. A devastated Ibrahimovic declared for Sweden soon after, and was soon capped for the under-18 side. Zlatan's loss to the Bosnian national team is not unusual in sports, and especially not in ex-Yugoslavian republics, where corruption, nationalism and short-sightedness rules. Once Ibrahimovic began to establish himself as a rising star, both Bosnia and Croatia began vying for his services. Zlatan had his mind made up. He would represent Sweden, and become The Swedish Golden Boy. What if Yugoslavia existed and Ibrahimovic led Yugoslavia in the 2000s? Without the wars and no talent lost, would Yugoslavia have continued with the national team's success of the 90s? Or at least built the foundation for strong runs in the 2010 and 2014 World Cups? What if? It can easily be argued that a modern and united Yugoslav national team could challenge any other nation for a World Cup title and European gold. The theory is not far off. If Yugoslavia existed today, there would be plenty of talent to choose from. A defensive line consisting of players such as Branislav Ivanovic, Dario Srna, Neven Subotic, Dejan Lovren, Sime Soljko, Stefan Savic, and Aleksandar Kolarov. A midfield of maestros, complete with Luka Modric, Ivan Rakitic, Miralem Pjanic, Nemanja Matic, Adnan Januzaj. Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and Marcelo Brozovic, goalkeepers such as Asmir Begovic, Jan Oblak, who arguably is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and Samir Handanovic. A potent attack consisting of Edin Dzeko, Mario Mandzukic, Stevan Jovetic, and Ibrahimovic. Such a team would strike fear into any of the world's top national teams. Not to mention top players who play for other nations in Europe. The sons of refugees who escaped the carnage of the war. It is tragic that Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore. Because if it did, its national team would have been a pleasure to watch. Full of talented stars, one can only dream and theorize what might have been. Nobody can say with certainty how far a team such as this could have gone at the World Cups or the European Championships. One thing remains certain, however: Yugoslavia's modern teams remain a dream for many, and a nightmare for others. Yugoslavia as a united country is dead. But the what-if moment lives on for many. Many suggest that a united Yugoslavian team would have won a minimum of 3 World Cups and as many as 5 World Cups, dating back to 1994 all the way to 2018, for Yugoslav nostalgics. Bosnia's national team represents something that they knew and loved. Strength through brotherhood and unity. And Bosnia offers a glimpse and hope that one day, Yugoslavia can once again exist. In the realms of soccer glory, we soccer lovers, however, can only dream one day that becomes a reality, and witness what may be the most electrifying national team ever. But until then, that remains a dream, far, far away.